Fight and Talk back again, and today I'm delighted to be joined by Cage Warriors featherweight Ben Ellis. And Ben, I believe you've got some news to tell us.
Hi mate, yeah, I'm going to be fighting Manny Akpan on the 18th of March in London on the next Cage Warriors trilogy. So yeah, looking forward to that.
Yeah, it's a great fight. And what do you make of the matchup, of course, coming into this on the back of a really good win against Kingsley Crawford?
I think he's a decent boy. He's 2-0 as a pro, 6-3 as an amateur. But in all fairness to him, his 3 losses at amateur were against guys who've gone on to do really well. One of them's a really good mate of mine, Aiden James from Swansea. Aiden won a decision against him, so when I stop him now, I can use that to shove it down Aiden's throat. So that's definitely the plan.
What sort of fight are you expecting from Manny? I mean, I've watched a few of his tapes and he seems very comfortable if somebody is looking to take him down. Of course, he's come from an SPG Manchester, fantastic gym all around, but especially the grappling in there seems really high level. What are you expecting from, I mean, what, the Welsh Khabib as it is?
Yeah, to be honest, like you said, he's just very wild and unpredictable. I got to give him his props. He does look to inflict damage pretty much from everywhere, but I think a lot of the time the way he fights, he either inflicts damage or he puts himself in trouble. And when he fights higher level guys, he puts himself in trouble. So I think that's definitely going to be the case here, where he does something, I respond to it, and then hurt him pretty badly from there. So yeah, that's the plan.
Of course, without going into too much detail, of course, of your game plan, we've seen once again against Kingsley Crawford a complete domination in the grappling side of things. Is that something we expect to see once more?
It's one of those. It's really hard to resist the temptation to throw someone about, especially with the way I grapple. You see, I don't tend to land in their guards. When I take them down, I land in side control or half guard, and I can basically shut down all their offense from there. To be fair to Kingsley, I thought he did a pretty good job of stifling how much damage I did to him. But then, having said that, he wasn't even close to getting up in round 1. And then in the end, in round 2, I kind of led him up looking for a knee on the way up. Just kind of out of frustration, the fact that I wasn't able to really smash him to bits when I did get him on the floor. So credit to Manny. I think if or when I throw him about, he'll be attacking, and that's going to open up a lot of opportunities for me to hit some heavy ground and pound. But actually, I mean, the Cage Warriors commentators don't know. They seem to think that the wrestling is my base. I've done so much more boxing than wrestling. Say I boxed for like 7 years before I wrestled anyone. I think they kind of got that perception that if I'm not wrestling, I'm not happy. So if I feel like I'm going to stand with them for a bit, then I definitely will.
Were you a little bit surprised with the matchup with Manny? I know when we spoke back when you were first meant to face Kingsley, which was September last year, I believe, or it might even be before that, was?
That sounds right.
Yeah. Was Manny the first name you were offered, or had there been other names that have been thrown about? Of course, don't know what you can and can't say, so of course don't say anything you can't. But
no, there was definitely a fair few names thrown about. I'm in that weird spot. Like, I'm only 3-0, but I'm a really big threat at the same time. So anybody who's had, say, between 7 and 10 fights, it's kind of a lose-lose for them, because if they fought me and lost, it looks really bad to get done by a guy with so much less experience. And then if they do it and they manage to win, then it's the ready-made excuse. It's the ready-made like storyline of, oh yeah, but you've got so many more fights, you're expected to win. Like, we thought it was quite funny. I was quite a big underdog for the Crawford fight, just based on the experience. Like, literally all of the boys lumped stupid money on it. Yeah, they won a fair bit. So I was hoping that they were going to chuck me someone far more experienced. I'd be a big underdog. The boys can lump a load on. I'd beat him, and then it's all good. But like you say, people who are turning that down based on the record difference, I can't really knock them for it. But I think when I go 4-0 now, 5-0 after that, that's when you get to that 4-5-0 mark. That's when it becomes really hard to use the record as an excuse. 5-0 in particular, I think a 5-0, you can call somebody out who say, I don't know, 8-2, so double the fights, but you're still kind of in the same bracket. And then if people are saying no at that point, that's when I'll start chopping them. So yeah.
At 5-0, of course, you've got James Hendon. James Hendon now facing Paul Hughes. You've got Morgan Sherry against Jordan Vucenic as well. You against Manny. Just how good is this featherweight division right now? For me, I think it's probably one of, if not the most stacked divisions in the Cage Warriors roster.
Yeah, I think it is the most stacked for sure. Like what you got Shara, Vucenic, Paul Hughes, James Hendon, amiable Scottish boy, something Aiden
Stephen,
the grappler, Aiden Stephen, and there's a couple more as well. Somnes. I think it's by far the most stacked. But to be honest, that's the best thing for me, because by the time my next 4 fights are done, I'm gonna have to have beaten at least half of them, and then that sets you up then for whatever, because they're a good level of boys. Whereas, there's nothing worse than beating X amount of people thinking you're the dog's bollocks and then realizing that the level was weak. And to be fair to those boys who've already fought fair on Cage Wise, I think they've shown that their level is really good. I saw a few people talking about Paul Hughes and Jordan's fight on the last trilogy, saying like that could be a UFC fight easily. And I got to give them both credit. I thought, yeah, they both fought really well.
Who did you have winning?
Pardon?
Who did you have winning the fight out of Jordan and Paul?
Oh, I don't know. When I watched it live, I thought the commentary was slightly biased towards Paul. So that kind of led to me favoring Jordan, like more watching him to see if he was doing more than what was getting commented on. I do think that was the case, to be fair. But then I watched it back, just because I'm sad like that. I watched pretty much all my fights, like any fights twice. And then when I watched it back, I was leaning the other way. To be honest, I think you could flip a coin. It was a really, really close fight. I think, yeah, I mean, neither of them could establish dominance over the other, and it was just going to go back and forth. I think we could have done with another few rounds, to be fair.
Speaking of watching fights back, I'm presuming you've watched yourself versus Kingsley back a couple of times now. How do you assess your performance in that one, and what did you make of the fight?
To be honest, I wasn't very happy. And I gotta be honest, I had to answer for it as well. My coaches weren't happy with me either. Like round 1 was good. Hard to say anything bad about round 1. Pushed him to the cage, took him down, kept him down the whole time. Like there wasn't too much damage. A couple of elbows landed. But the fact of the matter is, his whole aim in that round was not to get knocked out with ground and pound. And when that happened, I just sort of froze and was going to try and just keep hitting him, as opposed to, looking to pass his guard and then maybe look for a submission or ground and pound from a different position. Which again, I had to answer for that when we went over it. Round 2, really similar. Pushed him to the cage, took him down, took his back. Again, to give him credit, did a really, really good job of stifling the ground and pound. And then I ended up just getting frustrated, which obviously is not. I wasn't super frustrated. I think I said to someone, I was considering headbutting him because he had both of my hands tied up, and I was like, I just want to hit this guy, and it's difficult to. And again, it was like I didn't feel like in those 2 rounds he was really trying to win the fight. So he lost those rounds dead clearly. So I was obviously happy to be 2-0 up, but a bit frustrated at the lack of damage. And then in round 3, this is where I was most frustrated. But then I understand that it was smart, where he's got a bit of a weird style to him. Like he's clipped a few people. Thought he was clearly 2 rounds down, and he's gonna throw a Hail Mary. So it was like, do you really press for the finish and risk giving him exactly what he wants, or do you just diffuse the fight? Obviously, I just diffused it. But then again, like good enough to be pressing the action and keeping safe. But I think maybe a year out the cage, the fact that the fight got cancelled in September, then rematched, it was one of those. It was just such a stressful period that going into that round, I was like, mate, just don't mess this up now. Don't come this far, all through lockdown training, all through missing the fight in September, to balls it up, trying to KO him. So like you say, I just diffused the fight, didn't take very much damage, obviously inflicted next to nothing in round 3 other than a few jabs and a few leg kicks, and then won a comfortable decision. But like I say, really disappointed, but a win's a win. He's a good boy. It was a big step up, and I didn't think it was that close. I may not have inflicted too much damage on him, but he inflicted next to none on me. I literally didn't have a mark on me. So yeah, disappointed, but it was okay.
I've got to ask you, I mean, we've seen it on the broadcast, a little bit of afters once the final bell had went. What was that about? Because I believe on the broadcast it cut back and you were doing press-ups, and then it cut to Kingsley and he was doing press-ups. How did that even come about?
So I got stitched up, right, just purely by the camera work not being on it. So literally the bell went, I went over to shake hands and he wouldn't shake hands. So when he did that, I just told him what he is. He had 15 minutes to do whatever he wanted to do to me, pretty much. And then as soon as the bell goes, all of a sudden he finds his voice. And then he started talking about the fact that he wasn't tired and he did a press up. So I just laughed at him and was like, man, I don't know what that proves, because anyone can do a press up, and just did it back to him. To be honest, though, I'm kind of glad the argument happened, just because, again, the commentary was saying that they thought round 2 was kind of up in the air, which it wasn't. Like, I don't see how it possibly could be. Like, on any judging criteria, like, I landed far more strikes. I took him down and had a lot of back control. Granted, not too much damage from there, but still back. And I was advancing pretty much the whole round. So on what category is that being deemed as close? So when he's saying whatever he's saying, I'm just laughing at him, saying, mate, you've already lost. So, like, it's really hard to win an argument when you've just lost a fight. And then they announced the decision and I was called winner. But then when I was watching it back and the commentary was kind of implying that it was close, obviously if I hadn't been on tape laughing at him saying I know he's lost, people would maybe say, oh, you're just saying that you knew you were and you didn't really know that. You might have doubted it. So yeah, just a bit of a weird fight, bit of a weird bloke. Kind of with James Hendon, money, like when James beat him before they announced the decision, James kind of like offered to shake his hand and he didn't really bite on it, and then he ended up giving like a half-assed handshake. So it seems he's like that way inclined, where he loses, throws his toys out the pram, has a little bit of a sulk, and then goes off.
Although
fuck him, it's done, beat him.
Although you maybe, as you say, weren't impressed with your own performance in there that night, how important was it for you to take a scalp like Kingsley Crawford on this trajectory that you're looking to be on, to be at the top of this division in as few fights as possible?
I gotta be honest. I mean, from an outside perspective, I can see why it would be deemed as a big scalp, because he is good, in fairness to him. There's only 2 losses to James Hendon and I don't know why I always forget his name, Aiden Stephen. And I think that Aiden Stephen fight, really, you could argue that he won. So he's a good boy. But I think in my head, I'm like, well, I'm going to have to beat, say there's 10 really legitimate featherweights at the minute. I'm going to have to beat at least 5 or 6 of them. And he's just one of them. I don't really put anybody on a pedestal. So, yeah, just say to me, just another day at the office, another fight won, and then move on. But yeah, it obviously was a nice win.
It is an absolute shark tank in that featherweight division at the minute. Where do you currently see yourself in the general, if there was rankings, let's say, where would you put yourself in that division?
11th, I think. I saw, I don't know who did it. Somebody did rankings for years, and Crawford was 10th. And then I obviously beat him, so I'd have to be at least 10th. Then they signed Tobias Harilla, and credit where it's due, he's 8-1, I'm 3-0, so I'd put him above me, just based on that fact. Which is why, to be honest, that's one of the reasons I called him out when they announced his signing. So if you slot him in a 10th, I think then I'm 11th. So what's that? Again, 4 or 5 fights, beat about half of them, and then I think I'll be at the belt then.
There's something I was really want to ask you about, and it's going right back to I know your fight with Kingsley the first time. It got cancelled fight week, like 2-3 days out of the fight, sorry. But
Yeah.
you then made the decision still to cut weight and make weight, Tony Ferguson style. What was the sort of decision behind that?
So yeah, it's 2-part. The first one, and this one doesn't really matter too much. If you make weight, you still get paid. Because you turned up, you were on weight, and you kind of did your job. But the main motivation was literally just if somebody pulled out due to COVID or whatever. Like, it was really up in the air that somebody could have pulled out. So what I did was I weighed in on weight and then stuck around until the Saturday fighters had weighed in on Friday morning. And then once they were all done, I knew then. I was like, right, this is done. And I went home. But yeah, so a featherweight could have easily pulled out on the Saturday and then I'd have been straight in. So yeah, that was the plan. Again, to be honest, that's kind of like, well, I had a bit of animosity towards Crawford just because of that. Because like, we still don't really have a reason why he didn't turn up. Like, no apology, nothing. So yeah, whatever.
What did happen with that? Because I know there was a few fights got pulled. Fredericks Richardson got pulled, and that was due to COVID. Ventry McAleenan got pulled, which was announced today. That was due to COVID. But there was no announcement to say your fight against Kingsley was off due to COVID that first time round. From sort of your side of things and how, or what you heard from Cage Warriors or from Kingsley's team, what exactly happened there?
Literally don't know. All I know is it was nothing to do with COVID. He never traveled to Manchester. And there was, I to be honest, they say it's so up in the air about what happened. But I mean, I know one thing for a fact, that if on fight week I decide not to travel to a fight, regardless of what the reason is, someone from my team is dropping someone from the other guy's team a little message just to be like, look, mate, like, sorry, you've just trained for 8 weeks. Sorry, you spent X amount on your fight camp not to fight. So when he didn't say anything like that, I said straight away, I was like, make the fight again. Like, I want to smash him. So yeah, just a bit of a weird situation.
Did that then add any emotion or extra emotion going into the second fight with him, that you had this sort of, not a hang up, but that bit, almost feeling a bit disrespected that he'd done that first time round?
No, I don't think so. I think I'm a bit of a weirdo where I have so much natural animosity to the guys I fight. I can't help it. Something about somebody signing to fight you and they think they're going to beat you up, it sets me off badly. All the boys laugh at me because I'm pretty quiet the rest of the time. So I have that anyway. I don't really need anything to happen to make that even more. I think I was a little bit tense in that fight just because of the time off. I camp in March, which didn't happen due to COVID. Then I did another camp in September for the September fight. And then by the time it got to the December card, my attitude was kind of like, don't fuck this up now. Don't go through all of this just to balls it up and lose. And then I was kind of fighting with a don't lose attitude, as opposed to normally my attitude is, right, we're gonna dominate and finish him. And a couple of people messaged me about that, being like, you didn't really look like yourself, which I agree with to a point. But yeah, like I said, that's done now. What was it, December? Well, I say March is only a quick turnaround from December. Win this fight in March. They've obviously put the fixtures out. There's going to be 4 trilogies. None of that to worry about. Literally get 4 fights, happy days. Good 2021.
They've also put out Paris and possibly somewhere in America as well. I mean, so young in your pro career, but how would that be, your trip abroad fighting international?
Yeah, I'd be up for it. I'll be honest, I don't really care where it is, because when you go to these places, like, you're going for a fight, you don't really do anything anyway, even if you're allowed out in normal times. Like, the furthest you're going to go is to a restaurant where you can't eat anyway because you're cutting weight. So you don't see anything, and then so it makes no difference if it was in where the place is, Paris and what, California.
Yes.
Yeah, I'd go, but I really wouldn't give a shit that it was there. London, Cardiff, whatever.
Well, yeah, when the time you fight, it'll be coming up to exactly 12 months since the UK got put into a national lockdown for the first time. We've been sort of in and out since then, but how has that affected you as a young professional athlete trying to build in your career, not being able to train with a full team? Of course, there's been different rules and regulations throughout that have let professional athletes like yourself train, but young amateurs not being allowed to train. How has that affected you having to really make your circle so much smaller, while trying to develop loads at the same time?
Yeah, it's like anything in it. Like there's pros and cons to it, and then as an individual, your perception of it's going to be whether it's positive or negative. So the obvious con is the difference in training partners, but then the pro is that you spend time with guys who are like, well, I hate to blow his trumpet, I don't want to give him too much credit, but I spend a lot of time with Lou Long. Literally, just he's got such a vast amount of knowledge. He's so good. That it's impossible to train with him regularly and not really benefit. So it's a pro and a con. I just feel sorry for the boys that aren't able to train really.
Fantastic win for Lou Long on Bellator Europe at the back end of last year. Mason Jones becoming champ, signing at the UFC and having a fight of the month. I mean, Welsh MMA at the minute, it's looking good, isn't it?
Yeah, mate, ridiculous. I think I think Lou's gonna really, really rock the boat with Bellator soon. He picked up that one loss to Encamp, but again, like something like a spinning elbow or like a Hail Mary attack, when it lands, it's obviously awesome for the guy that lands it, but it's not the same as being outclassed and losing that way. Like in no shape or form is Encamp out of his league. So fingers crossed he can get back in there now and really start pushing towards the top, because he's more than capable of smashing a lot of those guys. Mason, I said, what a beast Mason is, in fairness to him, beating Proctor. Like I said, I'm very fond of Mason, trained with Mason a fair bit. When I saw how much bigger Proctor was, even I was a bit like, nervous for your mate. But credit to him, he just didn't care, walked him down and got him out of there. And I say Proctor's a really good fighter as well. And then obviously Jack Shaw's fighting against you in the UFC as well. So Welsh MMA's doing awesome, and it's like anything in it. The more guys that are doing well, it's only going to lead to more people following. So yeah, fingers crossed. In a couple of years' time, there's just going to be so many more. It'd be something really great to be a part of.
Well, finally, Ben, I won't take up too much of your time tonight, but can I get a prediction off you for how this fight's going to go?
I think I'll pressure him and then stop him, either with ground or pound or with him pushed up against the cage with strikes. I think he's a good boy, obviously from a good gym, but I just think just too good for him everywhere. And then I'll show him, get him out of there.
Perfect. Ben, thank you very much for your time tonight, mate.
Yeah, nice to speak to you, mate. All the best.